Chapter 155. Clan of Shang Qianjue. Chu Xuan was laden with treasures aplenty. As for the treasures needed for foundation building, they were even more numerous. He did not mind bestowing some items he no longer needed to Huang Yan. Given Huang Yan's disposition, stepping into the foundation establishment stage might well bring some surprises. Of course, if he failed to advance, it would matter little. It would merely be a move in passing. Contented, Chu Xuan swiftly departed. At the 100 Refinement Sect, atop original Dao Peak, Shang Qianjue stood at the summit, gazing northward. A step behind him, an elderly crone with wispy hair and wrinkled skin stood respectfully. This crone was the nascent soul ancestor of the 100 Refinement Sect, Miao Zizai. Miao Zizai whispered, "Young master, it is too soon for you to act." Every 10 years, the Feather Transformation Palace communicates with all nascent soul cultivators of the Eastern, Western, Northern, and Southern territories through the Heavenly Patrol Mirror. With the current efforts to locate you and the second young master, these exchanges will undoubtedly become more frequent. The death of Shintu Jin will sooner or later come to the attention of the Feather Transformation Palace. Shang Qianjue did not respond immediately but said calmly, "Elder Miao, are you afraid?" Miao Zizai smiled. "My life, young master, was one you dug out from a pile of corpses. If you demand it now, it is yours." Shang Qianjue spoke evenly. "Elder Miao, in 3 years, the extraterritorial battlefield will open." Miao Zizai was startled. Then, as if struck by a thought, a brilliant light sparked in his eyes. To be ranked among the 5th-level cultivation sects, one must have a cultivator at the deity transformation stage. The Heavenly Tao Immortal Alliance grants such sects the right to enter the extraterritorial battlefield. Additionally, contributing extremely rare treasures can also earn one the privilege to enter. The extraterritorial battlefield opens every 500 years, and each opening requires a large number of golden core and nascent soul cultivators to clear the field. The benefits of the extraterritorial battlefield are numerous, foremost being the plethora of cultivators' corpses, followed by fragments of magical treasures, and various ancient and lost techniques and scriptures. Chu Xuan positioned himself comfortably, flipping through an aged tome. Following the destruction of the Heaven Burning Sect, their library had been plundered by lesser sects and rogue cultivators. Chu Xuan had arranged for Song Junjie and Chen Tang to acquire many books. Such a major sect indeed held many secrets, even unknown to Chu Xuan. For instance, this extraterritorial battlefield, scarcely known among golden core cultivators. After all, it opens once every 500 years. And the lifespan of a golden core cultivator also spans merely 500 years. Nonetheless, the existence of the extraterritorial battlefield is no taboo. It's simply that its knowledge is not widespread, known but to a few. I wonder what kind of place it truly is. Should the opportunity arise, it might be worth exploring, mused Chu Xuan. Primarily, he wished to witness different landscapes, having no interest in the corpses of cultivators. 2 months blinked by, unusually tranquil. In the abrupt demise of the Heaven Burning Sect, vast vacuums emerged within the Yu Kingdom. Lesser sects were nearly at each other's throats. Under such circumstances, the 100 Refinement Sect showed no intention of moving south. It seemed they were waiting for something. During this period, the Hidden Mountain Gathering organized another Golden Core assembly. Chu Xuan attended once again. He noticed the absence of Deep Sea. But there were 2 new members. This meeting was rich with intelligence. Not just about the 100 Refinement Sect and Heaven Burning Sects, but also about Myriad Islands Lake. The power distribution and general situation of Myriad Islands Lake were clarified to Chu Xuan. That day, Yuan Zichu, who seldom made personal visits, came calling. His arrival surprised Chu Xuan. Since that time when all his defenses were crushed by a single punch, there had been little contact between them. Why the sudden visit? Once Yuan Zichu and Chu Xuan were seated, he immediately inquired, "Fellow Taoist, are you aware of the stirrings at Myriad Islands Lake to the north?" Chu Xuan shook his head. "What stirrings?" I keep to myself and am uninformed. Myriad Islands Lake, vast in area, was home to various powers. One of the largest is the Alliance of 26 Islands. This power was located at the southernmost part of Myriad Islands Lake, often interacting with the 100 Refinement Sect. The 100 Refinement Sect, with its vast resources, had established a treasure ship market at the lake's edge. Through this market, the sect exchanged goods with the cultivators of Myriad Islands Lake. The profits were substantial. To say the Alliance of 26 Islands did not covet this would be impossible. However, the strength of the 100 Refinements Sect always surpassed that of the Alliance, and the latter dared not provoke any incidents. Yuan Zichu clenched his fists. The Alliance of 26 Islands covets our 100 Refinements Sect's treasure ship market, covertly instigating rogues to disrupt the market. The market's profits have greatly diminished over the past 2 years. Our sect showed some forbearance, only to be met with their increasing audacity. Just 3 days ago, 2 of our sect stewards were killed. Intolerable is an understatement. The sect has called upon the Golden Core elders to go and guard the treasure ship market. Yuan Zichu declared somberly, I have volunteered to go there and suppress the audacity of those Myriad Islands Lake cultivators. Chu Xuan nodded. With such resolve, fellow Taoist Yuan, the sect master will surely be gratified. Yuan Zichu earnestly said, I know, fellow Taoist He, that you are powerful. Why not join me? With your cultivation level, you could certainly turn those Myriad Islands Lake cultivators on their heads. The contributions to the sect would be substantial, would they not? Chu Xuan frowned. I've said before, I do not delight in strife or bloodshed. Why involve me in such matters? Let this be the last time you seek me for such endeavors. Chen Tang, show the guest out. With a sweep of his sleeve, he turned and left. Chen Tang, who had been standing in the hall, quickly approached. Elder Yuan, this way, please. Yuan Zichu's expression was one of astonishment. He had thought Chu Xuan's previous refusals were mere formalities. He hadn't expected him to actually mean it. Fellow Taoist He, you. How could you miss such an opportunity? Yuan Zichu shook his head and left, his sleeves fluttering. He had long regarded Chu Xuan as a person of note, intent on forming an alliance in this manner. Last time was the same. And so was this time. Both attempts were rebuffed by Chu Xuan. There was nothing to be done but to find someone else. Chu Xuan merely scoffed. Though the Alliance of 26 Islands had nascent soul ancestor just like the 100 Refinement Sect, the Alliance, comprising 26 large islands and nearly 100 smaller ones, was often issuing multiple orders, creating chaos. They were completely disorganized. How could such a fragmented force dare to oppose the well-disciplined 100 Refinement Sect? The so-called rogue cultivators disrupting the treasure ship market was likely a drama orchestrated by the 100 Refinement Sect themselves. This game was probably led by Shan Chenjue. Chu Xuan could not fathom the overlord's motives. But he wanted no part in such a play. At first glance, it seemed like an easy job. But who knew what those 2 nascent soul-old monsters from the 100 Refinement Sect were thinking? If they needed a few lives to ignite a war, they wouldn't care whose lives were sacrificed. Yuan Zichu, oh Yuan Zichu. I hope you survive. Chu Xuan was indifferent to it all. In a blink, he returned to Blue Star, continuing his cultivation of the Yin Thunder evil technique. Chapter 156. Leave again. Blue Star. Chu Xuan continued to sit in meditation, cultivating. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Time swiftly passed by. Chu Xuan never cared much about the passing of time. Here, 10 years might pass, and only a year would elapse on Mystic Azure Star. Hun. His internal energy surged. In the blink of an eye, he broke through another layer. He stepped into the 7th level of the Golden Core stage. The 7th level of Golden Core, belonging to the latter stages, signified immensely strong capabilities. he could easily eliminate cultivators in the middle stages of Golden Core. The number of Yin Thunder Seeds in my Dantian has also reached over 2,000. Not bad, not bad. Chu Xuan stood up, a smile spreading across his face. At that moment, Long rushed in from outside the formation, babbling rapidly. Chu Xuan was surprised. What did you say? The parasitic seeds sense the scent of psionic tube and are now battling a foreign power? Interesting. Let's go have a look. Moments later, he returned to the farm. Chu Xuan placed his hand on the zombie matriarch's head. With a sweep of his spiritual sense, he easily saw through the zombie matriarch to the scene where the parasite child was. The parasite seeds were inhabiting a group of giant apes. These apes were as tall as a building, with thick skins and flesh. The herds of giant apes charged forward. Wherever they went, the defensive lines formed by superhumans were easily torn apart. Only tanks and artillery could inflict damage on them. However, the apes were both intelligent and agile. Upon spotting tanks and artillery, they quickly maneuvered around or dispersed their formation, and swiftly dismantled those heavy weapons. An entire strike force composed of 3rd and 4th level superhumans couldn't delay this group of giant apes. The Harsha dynasty. Chu Xuan noted the appearance and skin color of those superhumans, slightly surprised. The Harsha dynasty was a major nation located south of the Han country. Vast, towering mountain ranges separated the two nations. Unexpectedly, the parasite seeds had drifted across the ocean to that location. They had successfully landed, infested a group of giant apes, and directed them to attack the superhumans of the Harsha dynasty. The superhumans of the Harsha dynasty were truly inept. They had no heart for battle and their morale was extremely low. Once casualties occurred, they fled in droves. Chu Xuan estimated that perhaps 1/3 of the casualties were caused by the Harsha dynasty's own superhumans. Good, let your children do their best. If they can bring back fragments of the psionic cube, I'll reward you with 3 large blood pearls. Chu Xuan smiled. Immediately, the zombie matriarch's eyes widened, nodding vigorously. The spiritual chi on Blue Star was scarce. Even consuming large blood pearls, zombies couldn't experience a rapid rise in cultivation levels like demonic cultivators. They could only increase their psionic levels. Both the zombie matriarch and the zombie empress had now reached the 8th level, only a step away from a 9th. Just as Chu Xuan was about to leave, the zombie empress started to roar. With a sweep of his spiritual sense, he understood why the zombie empress was agitated. Its dispatched corpse boats had also detected the scent of psionic cubes. However, the signal was very faint, and it was constantly moving. One moment it was in the southern seas, and the next it had moved to the northern lands. Very peculiar. Let your children continue to track it. Ideally, they should bring back fragments of the psionic cube on their own. What? You plan to build a new batch of corpse boats with built-in attack capabilities? Sure, that's completely fine. Chu Xuan nodded with a smile. He stroked his chin, thoughtful. The appearance of 2 fragments of psionic cubes at once. It seemed that the completion of a full psionic cube was indeed imminent. Chu Xuan was very confident in the capabilities of the corpse boats and the parasite child. He was also confident in the initiative of the zombie empress and zombie matriarch. Motivated by the promise of large blood pearls, they would surely go all out to bring him the fragments of the psionic cubes. All he had to do was wait. The thunder crystals are almost used up. I need to buy some more. I've been cultivating on Blue Star for 5 years, which equates to just 5 months on Mystic Azure Star. It's been quite some time. There should also be news from the Alliance of 26 Islands by now. With a flicker, Chu Xuan returned to Mystic Azure Realm. Black Dragon Mountain. Chu Xuan had only returned for a few days when Song Junjie and Chen Tang brought him news. Master, our 100 Refinement Sect and the 26 Islands Alliance have come to blows. It is said that the 26 Islands Alliance has overstepped its bounds, actually slaughtering an entire small market town of ours and assassinating 2 golden core cultivators. Upon hearing this news, Chu Xuan could not help but laugh. He had guessed right after all. It was truly a self-directed play. He wondered who the 2 sacrifices had been. Casually, Chu Xuan asked, who were the 2 golden cores who died? Song Junjie recalled for a moment, one surnamed Liu, the other Bai, both unknown to us. Chu Xuan felt a twinge of sentiment. It seemed Yuan Zichu had not died. That was a relief. Had Yuan Zichu died, his possessions would have fallen into others' hands. What a waste that would have been. Chen Tang chuckled slyly. Our sect is now calling upon cultivators to head to the Myriad Islands Lake to deliver a crushing blow to the 26 Islands Alliance. Both of them possess numerous demonic techniques and could be considered demonic cultivators. The 2 were exceedingly astute. Having been with Chu Xuan for so long, they had learned much. At first, they had been unaware. But now they had more or less figured out that those 2 unfortunate souls were probably just sacrifices for igniting the war. The 100 Refinement Sect wanted to annex the 26 Islands Alliance, using this incident merely as a moral pretext. To swallow your territory, kill your people, seize your treasures, and still stand on the moral high ground to criticize you. It was indeed a devastating act of heart and soul. Do you want to go? Chu Xuan asked with a smile. Song Junjie and Chen Tang immediately shook their heads. No, we'll just stay here in our little plot of land at Black Dragon Mountain. They were very clear in their minds. Chu Xuan would never let them leave. Chu Xuan chuckled. That's right, indulging in constant conflict is far from the righteous path. Although you cannot cultivate virtue, staying out of disputes is certainly wise. Song Junjie and Chen Tang nodded in agreement, murmuring, Yes, Master is correct. On Mystic Azure Star, 2 years passed in the blink of an eye. The 100 Refinement Sect, united and powerful, quickly subdued the disorganized 26 Islands Alliance. Their nascent soul ancestor suffered a devastating defeat against the nascent soul ancestor of the 100 Refinement Sect. He had no choice but to submit. After conquering the 26 Islands Alliance, the 100 Refinement Sect continued northward, advancing against other major forces around Myriad Islands Lake. Shang Qianjue never appeared directly. But Miao's eye's strength was formidable, unmatched by any nascent soul cultivator of the same realm. The territory of the 100 Refinement Sect grew increasingly vast. However, Chu Xuan felt that disaster was likely looming for the 100 Refinement Sect. Before the Feathered Ascension Palace could direct its wrath towards the 100 Refinement Sect, it was time for him to withdraw. What? You're going to Myriad Islands Lake for a mission? Fellow Taoist He, I thought you disliked conflict, so why the sudden interest in Myriad Islands Lake? Jian Yitong was quite surprised upon hearing Chu Xuan's plans. Chu Xuan smiled. I've been at Black Dragon Mountain for too long, tired of the same scenery. I wish to see other places. Jian Yitong sighed deeply. Well then, go ahead, I will look after your Black Dragon Mountain. Chu Xuan lowered his voice. That's Snow Grease, she's actually an old crone, her beauty faded. Be wary. Jian Yitong's pupils suddenly contracted, his mouth agape as he stared at Chu Xuan, unable to speak for a long while. Chapter 157, Myriad Islands Lake. The Imperial Sky Mirror, initially offered willingly by Yuan Zichu, was a mid-grade flying magic treasure. Its speed far surpassed the Green Shadow Shuttle, the top-grade flying magic tool Chu Xuan had previously used, boasting a travel speed of 500 li in a single hour. From the southernmost to the northernmost tip of Yang country spanned a full 120,000 li. Even with hurried travel, Chu Xuan would need an entire day. However, he did not plan to rush at maximum speed. Rather leisurely was his approach. He was not truly going to Myriad Islands Lake to fight on behalf of the 100 Refinement Sect. He was merely seeking a geomantically blessed place to lay low for a while. Although the forces at Myriad Islands Lake were mixed and varied, compared to Yang country, which had been under the long-time management of the 100 Refinement Sect, it was certainly much safer, Even if the wrath of the Feather Transformation Heaven Palace were to pour down, it would not fall upon the heads of the cultivators at Myriad Islands Lake. Moreover, as victims, the cultivators might even receive favorable treatment from the Feather Transformation Heaven Palace. 120,000 lei. Chu Xuan leisurely flew, taking nearly 2 days to arrive. Is that Myriad Islands Lake? Indeed, it is a vast inland sea. Chu Xuan gazed into the distance, already able to see a vast expanse of azure water. Above the water, the air was rich with moisture, and countless islands were scattered like stars strewn across the night sky. In the blink of an eye, Chu Xuan's figure flashed past, landing atop one of the southernmost tower ships of Myriad Islands Lake. The tower ship, moored at the shore, was surrounded by a dense array of houses and shacks. This cluster of tower ships formed the treasure ship market, the largest trading market established by the 100 Refinement Sect in this area. As for the surrounding houses and shacks, they were the residences of low-level cultivators eking out a living. Most of them were chi refining cultivators. Any cultivator who had reached the foundation establishment stage would not choose to live in such filthy and chaotic shack areas. At the very least, they would own a tower ship, residing in the tower ship district around the treasure ship market. Chu Xuan glanced over the shacks but did not look further. In every world, there are those who live at the bottom. Even those exalted as immortals in the eyes of mortals are just low-level cultivators like these chi refining ones. Chu Xuan shook his head and approached the periphery of the treasure ship market's formation. People had already noticed the streak of light in the sky. With a flick of his wrist, the Golden Core Elder's token flew out immediately. The treasure ship market was stirred into action. Moments later, a Golden Core cultivator and 4 Foundation establishment cultivators came together. May I know which fellow Taoist has graced us with their presence? Yuan Zichu greeted them with a bow and a smile, only to stiffen when he saw a familiar face. You said you disliked conflict and would not come. Why have you appeared again? Oh, men. How quickly their faces change. How is it, fellow Taoist Yuan, are you not welcoming me here? Chu Xuan said with a smile. Yuan Zichu shook his head vigorously. Not at all, not at all, fellow Taoist, please come in. The 4 Foundation establishment cultivators exchanged glances, none daring to speak further. Yuan Zichu was exceptionally talented, blessed by the heavens, and advanced rapidly in his cultivation, loyal and true. He was highly valued by the sect leader. There were 4 Golden Core Elders in the treasure ship market, and the other 3 held Yuan Zichu in high regard. However, in the presence of this new Golden Core Elder, Yuan Zichu unusually showed a hint of reverence. Could this person's strength surpass even Elder Yuan? The largest tower ship in the treasure ship market was a 4-story structure named Treasure Ship Number, the true hub of trading activities. However, this treasure ship number was too noisy and bustling with people. Golden Core cultivators naturally would not reside there. There were several large tower ships floating outside the market specifically prepared as aquatic abodes for Golden Core cultivators. However, as Chu Xuan was new to the area, he did not yet have such an aquatic abode. Thus, Yuan Zichu invited Chu Xuan aboard the Listening Ray number. This tower ship was specially used by the treasure ship market to welcome guests. The 2 settled in, and the 4 Foundation establishment cultivators promptly excused themselves. Soon after, a graceful female cultivator stepped forward, presenting them with spiritual tea. Yuan Zichu smiled. This tea is called Fragrant Snow White, sweet and refreshing. A tale of fragrant Snow White costs 1,000 small spiritual stones. Chu Xuan immediately shook his head. Although the tea was freshly brewed before him, the tea leaves had not been inspected, and the source of the water was unknown. He chose not to drink. Yuan Zichu, a perceptive man, recognized Chu Xuan's caution. He simply slapped his storage bag and took out 3 small paper packets. Here are 3 tales of fragrant Snow White that I bought for fellow Taoist Zhu as a gift. I have some extra, so I'll give it to fellow Taoist He. After a brief scan with his spiritual sense and detecting nothing amiss, Chu Xuan accepted it with a smile. How could he refuse a gift offered so willingly? After some pleasantries, Chu Xuan had a good understanding of the current situation at the treasure ship market. Including the newly arrived Chu Xuan, there were 5 Golden Core cultivators in the market. Yuan Zichu and Zhu Yuchao were the regulars, while the other 3 were leading cultivators in attacks against other forces around Myriad Islands Lake, like the Dragonfish Sect based on Dragonfish Island and the Curio Alliance formed by several cultivator families. As they spoke, footsteps suddenly sounded from outside. Yuan Zichu seemed to recognize the noise and immediately stood up. It must be fellow Taoist Zhou. The next moment, a stunning woman in a lake blue gown stepped through the doorway. Her slender waist and commanding presence, combined with her porcelain skin, made her an unparalleled beauty. Chu Xuan glanced at Yuan Zichu and understood the convoluted connections. Yuan Zichu had spoken of coming to Myriad Islands Lake to serve the sect, and Chu Xuan had thought he would be on the front lines. Instead, he was stationed at the treasure ship market. Now Chu Xuan saw the reason. Yuan Zichu was here for Zhu Yuchao. But that was normal. A graceful lady is a worthy companion. Cultivators, not entirely devoid of desires, naturally could be ensnared by affection. Chu Xuan was different. He simply thought that Zhu Yuchao was too slender, hardly having enough flesh on her. Surely, Hu and the others would not favor such a meal. What a pity, indeed. Fellow Taoist Yuan, Zhu Yuchao nodded lightly, her smile gentle. Yuan Zichu responded with an embarrassed chuckle. Noticing Chu Xuan's gaze, Zhu Yuchao felt a sense of oddity. His look was unlike most. It wasn't as if he saw her as a person. Rather, she felt regarded more like a piece of ambulatory meat. Almost instinctively, she categorized Chu Xuan as someone best kept at a distance. Yuan Zichu promptly introduced, fellow Taoist Zhu, this is He Liang of Black Dragon Mountain, a fellow Taoist. He has come to the treasure ship market specifically in response to the sect's call. Hearing this name, Zhu Yuchao paused, then exclaimed in surprise, you are the one from Black Dragon Mountain, that black heart, fellow Taoist he? The internal strife of Black Dragon Mountain was well known within the 100 Refinement Sect. It would have been hard for her not to know of it. She had also heard about the Golden Core Elder from Black Dragon Mountain's harsh treatment of his disciples, which he had found quite cruel at the time. She had not expected to meet the man himself today. Chu Xuan's smile was ambiguous. Indeed, fellow Taoist Zhu, you've heard of my nickname? Blackheart, I actually find it rather fitting. Chapter 158, I had sparred with him before, our strengths equally matched. Zhu Yuchao swallowed nervously. Just from the look in his eyes earlier, she instinctively felt that he was not the right sort to get close to. Now knowing his identity, she wanted nothing more than to distance herself as far as possible from the infamous Blackheart Elder. Hearing Chu Xuan's comment, Zhu Yuchao managed an awkward smile. That's just careless talk among the disciples. Please, fellow Taoist, pay it no mind. Yuan Zichu coughed lightly, turning to Chu Xuan. This is fellow Taoist Zhu Yuchao, a mid-stage Golden Core cultivator, and one of our sect's foremost array masters in the Golden Core stage. Chu Xuan raised an eyebrow. An array master. That was rare. Array, kill, and talisman. Among them, array crafting was the most difficult to master, and its practitioners held in the highest disdain. The 100 Refinement Sect would surely treat Zhu Yuchao like a treasure. Why then was she at Myriad Islands Lake? However, recalling that the 100 Refinement Sect was now under the control of Shang Chenjue, Chu Xuan dismissed his scattered thoughts. What the Overlord was thinking, he had no idea. The current actions of the 100 Refinement Sect could not be judged by the normal standards of a sect. After brief introductions and pleasantries, Zhu Yuchao politely said, fellow Taoist he, as per tradition, the treasure ship market will construct a waterborne cave abode for you to reside in. Of course, you are also free to choose any island as your dwelling. Chu Xuan waved his hand. No need to trouble yourselves, I'll just pick an island to stay on temporarily. I don't plan to reside in the cave abode for long. I am here to serve the sect and to severely check the arrogance of the Myriad Islands Lake cultivators. Whether the cultivators of Myriad Islands Lake were indeed arrogant, he did not know. But the behavior of the 100 Refinement Sect's cultivators, beating others and then scolding them for arrogance, was certainly haughty. As for the waterborne cave abode, he truly did not want it. If it wasn't built under his supervision, how could he accept it? Who knew if there were any traps? It was best to establish his own cave abode. In any case, he wouldn't stay long. He'd find an opportunity and slip away to Blue Star soon enough. Seeing Chu Xuan's decision, Zhu Yuchao breathed a sigh of relief. As an array master, she was responsible for overseeing the construction of all the waterborne cave abodes for the golden core cultivators. His refusal naturally meant less work for her. Yuan Zichu then fetched a storage bag and handed it to Chu Xuan. "Fellow Taoist, hey, this contains the sect's rewards," Yuan Zichu said, handing over a storage bag. If fellow Taoist he eliminates golden core cultivators from the Dragonfish sect or the Curio Alliance, additional rewards will be granted upon reporting back to the sect. Chu Xuan nodded, accepting the bag, then casually inquired, "Regarding the location for establishing a cave abode, do either of you have any recommendations?" Zhu Yuchao thought for a moment. "I know that about 1,500 li to the northeast, there is a Peach Blossom Island with a third-tier spirit vein. The Peach Blossom sect there has already been eradicated by fellow Taoist Yuan. I'm not too familiar with other areas," she added. Yuan Zichu took over the conversation. "To the northwest, 4,000 li away, lies Azure Spirit Island, which also houses a third-tier spirit vein, though of slightly inferior quality. Directly to the north, 5,000 li away, is Flowing Clouds Island, which has two third-tier spirit veins, one of which has already been claimed by Taoist Zhao Benhe. Third-tier spirit veins, abundant in spiritual qi, are most suitable for golden core cultivators." Zhu Yuchao and Yuan Zichu made no mention of the lower second and first-tier veins, which, while adequate for foundation establishment and qi refining cultivators, are too sparse to support the energy needs of golden core cultivators or serve as a foundation for arrays. Yuan Zichu straightforwardly produced a jade slip. "Fellow Taoist, this is a map I've inscribed with my spiritual sense. You can examine it closely and choose an island. Let me know once the cave abode is established." He seemed somewhat impatient. Chu Xuan smiled, accepting the jade slip and rising to his feet. "Thank you, fellow Taoist Yuan." He could tell Yuan Zichu was eager for him to leave, likely wanting more time with Zhu Yuchao. Chu Xuan wasn't keen on lingering either. Examining a spiritual map was certainly faster than back-and-forth conversations. After Chu Xuan departed, Zhu Yuchao whispered, "This He Liang is no easy mark." Yuan Zichu smiled slightly. "Fellow Taoist, he is powerful. I've sparred with him before, and our strengths were evenly matched." Zhu Yuchao appeared surprised. "Fellow Taoist Yuan, you're exceptionally talented and now a mid-stage golden core. He can match you. That's impressive." Yuan Zichu coughed a few times, his response muffled. "Indeed. We just need to avoid provoking him." Zhu Yuchao nodded in agreement. "I definitely won't provoke him. He looks quite fierce. It seems fellow Taoist Yuan would make a much better friend." "A friend, perhaps?" Yuan Zichu's gaze darkened slightly. But then he brightened at the thought of potentially advancing beyond mere friendship in the future. Such a good match must not be missed. Even if Zhu Yuchao's Tao companion were to get angry, he must not back down. At dusk, Chu Xuan arrived at Azure Spirit Island. The island was small, with a relatively inferior spirit vein, and not many mortals resided there. As for cultivable spirit fields, they were even rarer. The only noteworthy feature was a lake called Azure Fish Lake, home to some tasty spiritual fish. He had chosen this island for several reasons. Peach Blossom Island had an excellent spirit vein and a peach grove, but it was too close to the treasure ship market. Flowing Clouds Island was large, but another golden core cultivator already resided there. Other islands with third-tier spirit veins had their own minor issues. Azure Spirit Island, however, met his requirements perfectly. The quality of the spirit vein was secondary. Distance from the hustle and bustle was paramount, yet not so remote as to arouse the suspicion of other golden core cultivators. Smoke was already rising on Azure Spirit Island, a sign that the mortals were preparing dinner. According to Yuan Zichu's jade slip, the island was currently guarded by 1 foundation establishment cultivator and 5 qi refining cultivators. There were also about 500 mortal households. In the wars of cultivators, unless deliberately targeted, mortals were rarely affected. All they knew was that Azure Spirit Island's former sect had been destroyed. Upon his arrival, Chu Xuan released his golden core aura, enveloping the entire island. In the blink of an eye, 6 figures rushed out to greet him. The leader, a thin middle-aged cultivator, bowed respectfully. Tang Xian, the 100 Refinement Sect's Foundation Establishment cultivator, greets the elder. The 5 behind him followed suit, bowing respectfully, though they did not offer their names. Chu Xuan displayed his golden core elder token. My name is He Liang. From today, Azure Spirit Island is under my control. You may stay if you wish, or leave if you prefer. He did not need extra people. Having these cultivators remain on the island was a potential risk. Tang Xian and the others promptly responded, we wish to stay. Chu Xuan's eyebrows rose, but then he relaxed. Perhaps the name He Liang did not carry enough deterrence. Maybe it was time for a change. Black Dragon Mountain should hold a bit more sway than He Liang. Chapter 159. Impersonating a title and stealing kills. Chu Xuan surveyed the highest peak on Azure Spirit Island and casually remarked, this peak resembles Black Dragon Mountain. In the future, it should be reshaped to look like Black Dragon Mountain. Black Dragon Mountain. Tang Xian, who had been extremely respectful until now, shuddered uncontrollably at the name, his voice tinged with disbelief. Senior. You are the Golden Core ancestor from Black Dragon Mountain? The 5 Chi refining cultivators behind him trembled as well. It was as if they had heard the name of something forbidden. Chu Xuan chuckled. Yes, have you heard of me? Tang Xiang swallowed hard. We have heard of your renown. His eyes darted around as he quickly said, Senior, I misspoke earlier. I do not wish to stay here. I would like to go to the front lines to fight. Please forgive me. The Chi refining cultivators nodded vigorously in agreement. Yes, yes. We feel the same. Chu Xuan scoffed coldly. You are afraid of me, aren't you? His golden core aura burst forth. Tang Xian and the others nearly collapsed in fright. They shrank back, not daring to utter another word. Scran, Chu Xuan snorted coldly. With a sweep of his sleeve, a fierce wind howled out. Tang Xian and the others were blown about, tumbling over each other. Thank you, Senior. Thank you, Senior. They cried out as they scrambled to their feet and hurried away, not wanting to stay a moment longer. The reputation of the Blackheart ancestor of Black Dragon Mountain was well known throughout the 100 Refinement Sect. How could they be unaware? Initially, they had been curious about who would take possession of Azure Spirit Island. If it had been a powerful Golden Core Elder, they might have been able to mix in and perhaps reap some benefits from the war. But now, seeing that it was the Blackheart ancestor, they fled without a second thought. They feared dying at the hands of the Blackheart ancestor more than dying in battle. My title as the Blackheart ancestor of Black Dragon Mountain indeed carries some deterrent power, Chu Xuan mused as he watched them flee in utter disarray, a smirk playing on his lips. With a flash, he moved to the highest peak of Azure Spirit Island. This peak was where the Azure Spirit Sect, a minor Foundation establishment sect that had already been annihilated by the 100 Refinement Sect, used to be. Now, only ruins remained. Tang Xian and his group had previously been stationed among these ruins. Let these ruins remain, Chu Xuan decided as he followed the trail of spiritual qi. Arriving at a spot where the qi was particularly dense, he selected a cliffside and began to violently smash it with his evil soul chain, quickly excavating a cave abode. The cave didn't need to be luxurious. As long as it had the essentials, it would suffice. After all, he didn't plan to stay long. Once the cave was carved out, Chu Xuan immediately began setting up an array. Due to the presence of a third-tier spirit vein, the array could function without the need for additional spirit stones. As long as the spirit vein existed, the array would continue to operate. The array he installed was a mid-grade golden core array known as the Fierce Wind Golden Blade Array. This formation served both as a maze and a killing field. Normally, it appeared as nothing more than a mist. However, if someone attempted to forcefully enter, it would unleash fierce winds and golden blades to attack the intruder. After fully establishing the array, Chu Xuan sat down on a stone bed to contemplate his next moves. Vanishing abruptly wasn't ideal. It would be better to disappear during a sect mission after some time, ostensibly after encountering a powerful enemy and suffering severe injuries, ultimately leading to his mysterious disappearance. This way, as long as he performed convincingly, it wouldn't arouse suspicion. For the next few days, I'll eliminate a few minor sects to demonstrate my loyalty, Chu Xuan planned in his mind. Soon, the 4 Golden Core cultivators at the treasure ship market witnessed a He Liang who was fiercely loyal to the sect, risking his life for its cause. He dared to attack sects others feared to confront and fought golden core cultivators others hesitated to challenge. In essence, he killed those others dared to kill and even those they dared not. Before long, the moniker Black-Heart Old Devil of the 100 Refinement Sect began to circulate around the Myriad Islands Lake. Just hearing his name made others flee in terror. That day, Chu Xuan flattened another sect, slaying a golden core cultivator and looking upon the ruins with a shake of his head. It wasn't that he didn't want to find the right moment to escape. The cultivators of Myriad Islands Lake were simply too weak. Even if he wanted to feign a struggle, it was impossible. He couldn't just charge an early golden core cultivator, have his opponent cough up blood from the impact, remain completely unscathed himself, and then loudly proclaim he had been gravely injured. That would be far too implausible. Chu Xuan sighed lightly as he surveyed the Myriad Islands Lake. Myriad Islands Lake, is there no formidable character among you? A throng of Foundation establishment and chi refining cultivators rushed to take over the ruins he had flattened. The way these cultivators looked at Chu Xuan was filled with awe. To date, 6 golden core cultivators from the 100 Refinement Sect had come to the treasure ship market. One unfortunate soul, overzealous for achievements, had been ambushed by 2 golden core cultivators from Myriad Islands Lake and had suffered severe injuries, forcing him to retreat to the sect. The rest had faced defeats in various forms. Yet, the one known as the Blackheart Ancestor stood undefeated, having battled and bested 4 golden core cultivators from Myriad Islands Lake, slaying 3 of them. He had single-handedly raised over a dozen large and small sects. Such a distinguished record of victories commanded respect and admiration from all within the 100 Refinement Sect. However, if asked whether they wished to train under the Blackheart Ancestor, hundreds, if not thousands, would express their reluctance. Admiration was one thing, but leaping into the fire was quite another. Watching the 100 Refinement Sect's cultivators bustling about cleaning up the battlefield, Chu Xuan suddenly recalled a troubling matter. It seems someone has been using my name recently, wreaking havoc around Myriad Islands Lake. This person had better not cross paths with me. Chu Xuan remembered instances where he had arrived only to find that the local sects had already been annihilated, the blood on the ground not yet cold. Impersonating him was one thing, but the fact that this impostor was intercepting his loot, a line Chu Xuan could not tolerate being crossed. Such a person was indeed courting death. Feast well, the more you eat, the better for your advancement, Chu Xuan advised as he pulled the remains of various cultivators from the tower, handing them over to Long, Hu, and Bao. During this period, he had eliminated numerous golden core cultivators from Myriad Islands Lake. The number of Foundation establishment cultivators he had slain was even greater, and their remains nearly formed a small mountain within the tower. Long and Bao, having consumed the Grandian Mystic Evil pills, had steadily ascended to the rank of Corps Commanders. Who had already advanced to Corps Commander and was now rapidly progressing, having reached the 4th level. What surprised Chu Xuan even more was that, after observing him a few times, Hu had managed to learn a wood-based spell. Normally, corpse puppets could only use their innate spells and struggled to acquire new ones. Although the spell Hu learned was merely a minor entanglement technique, this marked a significant departure from the capabilities of most corpse puppets. A corpse puppet capable of learning spells, TSK, might well become a legend among corpse puppets, Chu Xuan mused. The combination of a corpse puppet with a spiritual root hasn't shown any problems yet. But perhaps it's still too early to say. Continuous observation is necessary. Chu Xuan remained vigilant and never too relaxed about this matter. I wonder how things are going with the 100 Refinement Sect. Has the Feather Transformation Heaven Palace not yet discovered Shan Chenjua's appearance? Or are they too busy searching for Shang Xinchen the Ghost Dragon and haven't noticed the situation in the southern wilderness? That might be the case. Central Continent is too far from the southern wilderness, and the Transformation Heaven Palace likely only has 1 or 2 ways to directly contact the southern wilderness. Such methods of contact must be costly, certainly not something to be used frequently. Chu Xuan pondered thoughtfully. Chapter 160, When Demon Paths Cross, Betrayal Comes. On Fierce Wind Island, 3 figures arrived one after the other. Their sects and families had been annihilated, and now they gathered on this island, where the spiritual chi was sparse, to discuss their dire situation. The bearded cultivator, Yero Hui, was the first to speak, his voice filled with frustration. Myriad Islands Lake has reached a precarious point. The 100 Refinement's demonic cultivators are so aggressively oppressive. Do they intend to dominate the southern wilderness entirely? The elderly cultivator, named Lu Qingson, spoke with a heavy tone. Alas, Myriad Islands Lake only ever had two nascent soul ancestors. One has already fallen to that Miao's eye, and the other is still in secluded meditation. With the current state of affairs, my friends, I think we should flee. The world is vast. Why hang ourselves in this noose when we can preserve our lives and roam freely? Yao Hui frowned. Flee? I can't bear it. I've left over 300 years of foundation here. I cannot let go. The young cultivator who had remained silent until now suddenly burst out angrily. I also want to flee, but I can't bear it. That black-heart old devil massacred my family and destroyed my sect. If I don't kill him, I'll never be at peace. His name was Ouyang Zheng. At 49, he had condensed his golden core, making him one of the outstanding golden core cultivators in Myriad Islands Lake. Recently, his family and the sect he founded, the Righteous Tao faction, had been annihilated by the black-heart old devil. Among the three, Ouyang Zheng had suffered the most. Yarrow Hui and Lu Qingson glanced at him and then lowered their heads. They were older and could let go of their vendetta and flee. But Ouyang Zheng was still strong and likely to advance to the mid or even late golden core stage. If he retreated now, he might develop a heart demon that would hinder his cultivation in the future. Lu Qingson whispered, "Brother Ouyang, what do you plan to do? Before we leave, we'll help you one last time." Yao Fui nodded in agreement. The three had a close private relationship. Since Ouyang Zheng was set on revenge, they would help as much as they could. Ouyang Zheng suddenly looked at them. "A friend passed on a demonic technique to me that can absorb golden cores to quickly enhance one's power. If you truly want to help, why not help me thoroughly and give your golden cores to me?" Yarrow Hui and Lu Qingson were shaken, instinctively feeling uneasy. "Ouyang Zheng, have you gone mad?" Lu Qingson tried to activate his defensive magic treasure subconsciously, only to find his spiritual sense and chi extremely sluggish, making it impossible to activate his defenses. Yarrow Hui immediately thought of escaping but found his legs unbearably heavy, as if they were filled with lead, unable to move. Yarrow Hui, in a fit of rage, roared, "We are all cultivators of Myriad Islands Lake, and yet you attack us like this. How are you any different from that black-heart old devil who destroyed your family and sect?" At this moment, the sorrowful expression on Ouyang Zheng's face vanished, replaced by a sinister sneer. "My family, I killed them. My sect, I destroyed it. Sometimes I am Ouyang Zheng. Sometimes I am the black-heart old devil." Yao Hui and Lu Qingsong's eyes widened in horror. They had never imagined that Ouyang Zheng could bring himself to harm his own kin to such an extent. This was ruthlessness beyond measure, actions unthinkable for a righteous cultivator. "Both of you, I need your help to advance my cultivation," Ouyang Zheng declared with a cruel laugh as he lunged at Yao Hui and Lu Qingsong. Screams echoed through the chamber, soon followed by the chilling sound of greedy chewing. Moments later, Ouyang Zheng emerged from the chamber. Waiting outside was a figure cloaked in a black robe. Ouyang Zheng tossed 2 storage bags to the figure. A gnarled, purple-black hand, wrinkled and rough, reached out and swiftly grabbed the bags. Ouyang Zheng dared only to glance briefly, his eyes filled with wariness. A raspy, aged voice came from beneath the cloak. "Good. According to our agreement, within 5 days, use the identity of the black-heart old devil to eliminate the Ice Point sect." Ouyang Zheng frowned. "I have already alerted He Liang. Acting again so soon might draw him directly to me." The cloaked figure chuckled eerily. "Are you afraid of him? You have consumed 2 golden cores. Your power must have surged tremendously. He Liang is merely a body cultivator. What is there to fear?" As he spoke, the cloaked figure tossed a vial to Ouyang Zheng. "This poison is particularly effective against the robust vitality within a body cultivator." Biting his lip, Ouyang Zheng conceded, "All right, I'll do as you say." His ability to poison Yarrow Hui and Lu Qingson had been thanks to the drugs provided by the cloaked figure. He had immense trust in this person's concoctions. After Ouyang Zheng departed, the cloaked figure remained in place. Moonlight fell upon his face, revealing a ghastly visage. "He Liang, heh," the figure mused. Isn't that the chi-refining disciple from the Infinite Sect? His actions and manner are very much like those of us from the demonic path. Kills and erases sects, taking all the bodies with him, undoubtedly for crafting corpse puppets. Who really is this person masquerading as He Liang? Are there transmission talismans? Chu Xuan, having just returned from Blue Star to Mystic Azure Star, discovered 2 transmission talismans flitting about like headless flies within his formation. With a casual gesture, one of the talismans landed in his hand. As the spiritual chi stirred, a raspy voice emanated from the talisman. The black-haired old devil will appear at the Ice Point Sect in 5 days. Chu Xuan frowned. This voice was unfamiliar to him. It belonged to neither Yuan Zichu nor Zhu Yuchia. Yet, this stranger had divulged such crucial intelligence. It seemed too significant to dismiss. To go or not to go? No. Chu Xuan scoffed. Who could say whether this was a trap set by the cultivators of the Thousand Islands Lake? Even with his physique refined 30 layer and his golden core at the 7th level, robust beyond compare, falling into a preset killing formation could still spell his doom. Thus, he would never trust such an unreliable transmission talisman. Chu Xuan reached out and summoned the other talisman into his hand. After infusing it with spiritual chi, the same aged, hoarse voice spoke again. You're using the name He Liang of the Infinite Sect. Who are you? Chu Xuan was taken aback. The name He Liang was almost unknown. Even within the Infinite Sect, perhaps only those disciples who had interacted with He Liang would have some recollection of him. He had casually used this name when accepting an invitation from the 100 Refined Sect. To think it would be recognized? Chu Xuan immediately concluded that the speaker must also be a demonic cultivator, likely one within the Infinite Sect. To approach my cave dwelling undetected, fearing not discovery. This person must have spies in the treasure ship market, and his strength is at least at the golden core stage. After much deliberation, Chu Xuan could only guess it to be Wan Wuin. But hadn't their unfortunate master entered the Ghost Palace and never emerged again? Could he have found another way out? Chu Xuan scratched his head. It seemed he had no choice but to visit the Ice Point Sect. Not to mention, the impostor had dared to tarnish the reputation of the black-haired old devil. He must be eliminated. As for this old acquaintance from the Infinite Sect, Chu Xuan smacked his lips. I must prepare thoroughly. When a daemon meets a daemon, a stab in the back is all too common. Chapter 161. Stop hiding. Come out. Mystic Ice Island, the Ice Point Sect. Compared to the mighty forces of myriad islands lake, such as the Dragonfish Sect and the Curio Alliance, which boast 3 or more golden core cultivators, the Ice Point Sect is merely a minor faction harboring a false core cultivator. The so-called false core represents a somewhat awkward realm. Some Foundation establishment cultivators, recognizing their mediocre aptitude or facing the twilight of their lifespan, or perhaps those grievously injured, their foundations compromised, find themselves unable to form a true golden core. In desperation, they either rely on secret techniques or the aid of a golden core cultivator to forcibly condense a false core. A false core cultivator surpasses a 9th level foundation builder by a significant margin, yet does not compare to a true golden core. Moreover, obtaining a false core does not extend one's lifespan. Most crucially, once a false core is formed, the cultivator can never hope to condense a golden core. Due to these limitations, many golden core cultivators hold false core cultivators in disdain. The Ice Point Sect, led by such false core cultivators, is one such minor sect. It is said that the Ice Point Sect possesses a secret technique that guarantees the formation of a false core. Any member who surpasses the age of 100 can easily condense a false core, ensuring that the sect always has more than 5 such cultivators. It is by this strength that the Ice Point Sect manages to eke out an existence and stubbornly survive in Myriad Islands Lake. However, now, the Ice Point Sect has been reduced to ruins. All 5 false core cultivators were slain by the nefarious black-haired old devil, who harvested and consumed their false cores. As for the Foundation establishment cultivators and chi refining disciples, they either perished or fled. The taste of a false core really doesn't compare to a golden core. It's not pleasant at all, Ouyang Zheng coldly snorted, ready to leave. Yet, he noticed a figure standing on the lake, 100 zhong away, observing him with great interest. Ouyang Zheng was startled. his spiritual sense had failed to detect the other's approach. Who was this person? With a light step on the lake surface, the figure rapidly approached, soon standing face to face with Ouyang Zheng. Recognizing the man, Ouyang Zheng's heart skipped a beat. It was indeed He Liang, the black-haired old devil. It seemed his own actions, taken under the guise of the black-haired old devil, had indeed alerted the genuine article. However, remembering the vial of poison given to him by the cloaked figure, specifically meant to harm body cultivators, Ouyang Zheng's mind steadied somewhat. Fully aware of your moves, what do you have to compete with me? Even you, the real black-haired old devil, shall fall today. You are who, seeking death as well? Ouyang Zheng sneered, his voice low and hoarse. Chu Xuan responded with a light chuckle. I was merely curious to see who dared misuse my name so recklessly. So it was just a minor player from Myriad Islands Lake. With his mastery in the art of disguise, he immediately saw through the other's facade. Beneath the guise of He Liang was another face. One Chu Xuan had already seen through the spiritual jade slit provided by Yuan Zichu. The 100 refinements Sect's ability to gather intelligence was unparalleled. The appearances, backgrounds, and signature techniques of all Golden Core cultivators in Myriad Islands Lake, whether seasoned or newly ascended, had been thoroughly documented by the sect. Chu Xuan instantly recognized this man as Ouyang Zheng, the leader of the Righteous Tao sect. In that moment, he realized the Righteous Tao sect and the Ouyang family had not been destroyed by him, yet the deed had been accredited to him. It appears that Ouyang Zheng himself had orchestrated the demise of his own kin and disciples, yet laid the blame at Chu Xuan's fate. Truly detestable. And to think, he didn't even leave the corpses of the cultivators for him. Nonsense, you deserve death. Angered, Ouyang Zheng made his move. He charged forward, thrusting his long spear with explosive force. Chu Xuan, surprised, noted that this man was also a body cultivator. No wonder he could replace him. The physique of a body cultivator, plump and juicy, perfect for nourishing corpse puppets. Chu Xuan smiled and executed the fierce evil escape. In an instant, he moved from reacting to acting first, appearing right in front of Ouyang Zheng. The fierce evil escape, a technique learned from the second level of the Yin Thunder evil technique, wasn't particularly cost-effective. But as a Golden Core period escape technique, it was naturally faster than any Yin evil escape from the Foundation establishment stage. For now, he would make do with this. Ouyang Zheng caught off guard, roared lowly and swiftly changed his attack, the spear crashing down furiously. Chu Xuan scoffed coldly. A true body cultivator needs no weapons. His own body is the mightiest weapon. With a direct punch, he shattered Ouyang Zheng's long spear. Unabated, his fist continued its trajectory, striking squarely against Ouyang Zheng's chest. With a crisp crack, Ouyang Zheng's inner armor disintegrated. His defensive magic treasure dimmed instantly, whining as it was flung away. Ouyang Zheng spurted fresh blood, hurled backward by dozens of fate. Panicked, he immediately attempted to flee. Chu Xuan pursued relentlessly. In the blink of an eye, he closed the distance to within 10 feet. His fist, charged with boundless power, was poised to strike. Dare to pursue me? Die then. Ouyang Zheng's face twisted from fear to ferocity. He swung his hand fiercely, releasing a cloud of crimson poison powder that enveloped Chu Xuan under the influence of spiritual qi. Ouyang Zheng's bizarre laughter echoed. He had tested the potency of this poison powder before. It didn't need to be inhaled. Merely touching the skin, it would penetrate the pores and impede the circulation of blood within the body. Since body cultivators utilized blood rather than spiritual energy, once the blood flow ceased, their formidable strength would find no outlet. Then, they would be at his mercy. However, a steadfast punch tore through the crimson poison, smashing directly into Ouyang Zheng's ghastly face. With a squelch, his head burst like a ripe melon. Before his headless body could fall, Chu Xuan casually tossed it into the corpse-nurturing tower. The storage bag was swiftly attached to his waist. This entire process of killing and looting was all too familiar to Chu Xuan. A mere 20-layer body cultivator dares to impersonate me. To impersonate me is one thing, but to then perform so poorly in battle, failing to kill his opponents and even letting them escape. And this poison, utterly useless. Chu Xuan shook his head repeatedly. When it comes to poisons, he is the true master. The moment the crimson poison was dispersed, he had already neutralized it. Arriving at the Ice Point sect, he casually gathered all the corpses into the tower. Without turning around, he suddenly spoke in a chilling tone. "Stop hiding. Come out." All was silent around him. Beneath the surface of the lake, the cloaked figure was shocked. Did he see me? Or sense my presence? Impossible. Chu Xuan remained stationary, hands clasped behind his back. Won't you come out? Must I make my move? The cloaked figure clenched his teeth. Could I really have been discovered? Impossible. He must be bluffing. Chu Xuan smirked coldly. Unsteady breath. Found you. He struck ferociously. 300 yin thunder seeds whistled through the air, swiftly engulfing the area where the cloaked figure hid. Chapter 162. You treacherous disciple. Yin Thunder Seed is imbued with both the essence of yin evil and the force of thunder. 300 of these beads whistled through the air simultaneously, sufficient to evaporate an entire body of water into steam. In an instant, vast clouds of steam rose from the area. A muffled groan was heard. The figure cloaked in black was forced to reveal himself. Damn it! So many yin thunder seeds. He was both shocked and enraged, compelled to continuously deploy escape techniques. Weaving through the continuously exploding beads, he dodged the terrifying damage. Yet even so, the massive net woven by the explosions of the 300 yin thunder seeds was immensely formidable. He might evade one, but not the next. The cloaked figure tried desperately to dodge, ultimately forced to activate his defensive magic treasure to block the attacks. Despite his efforts, he still sustained numerous wounds. However, using the rebounding force of the yin thunder seeds, he successfully increased the distance. He burst out of the deadly net created by the interweaving yin thunder seeds. Chu Xuan raised an eyebrow. Impressive. The simultaneous explosion of 300 yin thunder seeds could seriously injure even a late-stage golden core cultivator. Yet, this person had managed to escape with his life. Chu Xuan stomped the ground, ready to advance and attack with full force. However, as he took a step forward, the water beneath him suddenly transformed into formidable frost. In an instant, his feet were frozen. And the frost didn't stop there. It continued to climb, aiming to encase his entire body in ice. Chu Xuan's expression shifted slightly. He burst forth the string from his legs, shattering the frost and hastily retreating. Yet, the frost pursued like a python, relentlessly coiling around him. Chu Xuan frowned. Instantly, a black iron shield and a goldwood shield flew from his body, attempting to block the assault. With a crack, both shields were frozen by the frost and shattered into pieces on the spot. Using the rebounding force of the explosion, Chu Xuan instantly escaped over 60 feet away, well beyond the reach of the frost attack. He was not sentimental about the loss. The two items were merely high-grade magic tools. Their destruction was inconsequential as long as he remained unharmed. However, he was surprised that the opponent had prearranged a formation, almost causing him to fall into a trap. It seemed he was facing a fellow cultivator. Chu Xuan and the cloaked figure stared at each other across the distance, each displaying awareness. The cloaked figure, eyeing the familiar black iron shield, gave a flicker of recognition. He spoke softly, "Since we are both cultivators of the demonic path, why not reveal your sect?" Chu Xuan frowned. "Nonsense, how am I a demonic cultivator?" "You look more like a demonic cultivator. Your entire family are demonic cultivators." The cloaked figure was irked. Both being sly as millennia-old foxes, such trivial deceits were pointless. Suppressing his anger, he pointed to the shattered remnants of the black iron shield. "That was the defensive magic tool I used back when I was a Foundation Establishment cultivator. I remember it well." Chu Xuan scratched his head, puzzled for a moment before tentatively asking, "Master?" The cloaked figure sneered. "Master was nearly killed by you, you treacherous disciple." Chu Xuan coughed slightly. "My master came to Myriad Islands Lake years ago in search of opportunities and vanished without a trace. I have been searching for him here for a long time, yet you suddenly appears now. How can you prove you are my master, Wn Wuin?" The cloaked figure responded coldly. "I went to the underground ruins in the Misty Mountains, to the ghost palace of the Netherdow sect. I was the one who told you about it." Chu Xuan raised an eyebrow, but few who went to the Ghost Palace came back alive. The cloaked figure removed his cloak, revealing a grotesque and unfamiliar face. It looked abnormal, as if it was sewn together from two different people. Chu Xuan felt an eerie chill. The cloaked figure sighed deeply. At that time, only 3 golden core cultivators from the Divine Star Sect made it out alive, and I seized the body of one of them. Chu Xuan raised his eyebrows in surprise. Quite the revelation. Wn Wuing continued, "My soul does not match this body well, which is why my face has become like this. Now you should be sure, my good disciple, Chu Xuan." Chu Xuan laughed heartily. "Master, if I had recognized you without any hesitation or doubt, that would have truly belied the lessons you taught me, right?" Wn Wuing snorted. "That's true indeed." A stranger claiming to be a long-dead master and appearing so suddenly, if he had believed it immediately, that would have been a disservice to his years of training as a demonic cultivator. "Master, let's find a new place to talk," Chu Xuan whispered. "Agreed," Wn Wuing nodded. Moments later, they arrived at Gale Island. This island, poor in spiritual chi, rarely attracted cultivators, making it an ideal place for a heartfelt reunion. "Master, I've missed you terribly," Chu Xuan exclaimed with great emotion. Wn Wuing waved his hand dismissively. "Oh, knock it off. If you really miss me, you would have gone to the Ghost Palace to find me. You never went once." Chu Xuan spread his hands. "If I died, wouldn't the legacy of the extreme Yin Cave be lost?" Wn Wuing was silent, observing Chu Xuan closely. He felt a mix of sentimentality, relief, and complexity. "Now that you are also a golden core cultivator, you need not call me master anymore. My master is the 9 profound true master. Consider me as a standard master. From now on, call me senior brother." Chu Xuan was surprised. True master. This term was usually reserved for deity transformation cultivators. Was Wn Wuing's master a formidable deity transformation cultivator? After further conversation, Chu Xuan learned that Wn Wuing and Chu Xuan were not truly master and disciple. 9 Profound, a roving cultivator, had encountered Wn Wuing, then a 9th-level Foundation establishment cultivator, and casually imparted a few insights that had opened Wn Wuing's mind. 9 Profound had stated that if Wn Wuing could break through to the Golden Core stage within 2 years, he would prove his aptitude was sufficient to join the Feather Transformation Heaven Palace in Central Continent. Unfortunately, Wn Wuing was attacked by enemies during his advancement, leading to years of recovery and missing the opportunity. If anything, Wn Wuing was more like an honorary disciple of the Venerable 9 Profound True Master. At this moment, Wn Wuing was filled with a mix of emotions. He hadn't expected that his former disciple would now be a cultivator of the same rank. The two continued their conversation, sharing the events of the past years. Of course, Chu Xuan knew that Wn Wuing must have had his secrets to have survived the Ghost Palace, and Wn Wuing understood that Chu Xuan must have encountered his own unique fortunes to have reached the Golden Core realm. Much was left unsaid, as both understood each other's journeys well enough. Chu Xuan inquired, "Senior brother, how did you end up at Myriad Islands Lake, and how did you come to collaborate with Ouyang Zhen?" Wn Wuing sighed deeply. "My lifespan has greatly diminished. Now, the only way to survive is to quickly advance my cultivation and attempt to reach the nascent soul stage. I wanted to obtain the qualifications to enter the extraterritorial battlefield and seek out nascent soul spiritual items, which led me to cooperate with Ouyang Zhen. But Ouyang Zhen's strength was insufficient, not making him an ideal partner. I had earlier noticed that you wield demonic methods and possess formidable strength, making you a suitable partner. That's why I set up today's situation. Who would have thought?" Wn Wuing's cheeks reddened slightly. He had almost been outwitted by his former disciple, nearly suffering significant harm. Such an embarrassment to admit. Chapter 163, Reincarnation Divine Church. Chu Xuan raised an eyebrow. The qualification to enter the extraterritorial battlefield? That sounded intriguing. He expressed his interest. "Senior brother, please elaborate on how to obtain this qualification." Wn Wuing spoke gravely. "In a year, the extraterritorial battlefield will open. The Upper Sect will distribute 1,000 tokens across various locations on Mystic Azure Star. The Feather Transformation Heaven Palace, as the overlord of Mystic Azure Star, can select cultivators to enter the battlefield without needing a token. For us loose cultivators, seizing a token allows entry. Otherwise, one must acquire rare heavenly materials and treasures that catch the upper sect's eye to gain entry. Chu Xuan, puzzled, asked, "What is this upper sect?" Wan Wuing's eyes gleamed with aspiration. Feather Transformation Heaven Palace is a 5th-level cultivation sect controlling Mystic Azure Star. Above it is the 6th-level Reincarnation Divine Church, which governs over a dozen cultivation stars. A 6th-level cultivation sect is a colossal organization that boasts astral projection stage powerhouses. Chu Xuan was taken aback. A 6th-level cultivation sect controlling over a dozen stars? Truly formidable. Senior brother, do you know what conditions are like on the extraterritorial battlefield? Chu Xuan inquired further. Wan Wuing shook his head. The last time the extraterritorial battlefield was opened was 500 years ago, during the chaotic collapse of the Nether sect. I have never entered, but I know it is a perilous treasure trove. The battlefield features sudden spatial rifts and void winds, ancient beasts that can destroy and devour everything. There are also corpses of nascent soul, deity transformation, and even higher realm cultivators, various ancient spiritual items, and ancient legacies. Us Golden Core cultivators qualify only for the least dangerous parts of the extraterritorial battlefield. Our task is merely to clean up the aftermath. Wan Wuing sighed deeply. In summary, it's a place of both risk and opportunity. Many cultivators want to take a chance to venture into the extraterritorial battlefield. Chu Xuan listened intently. It truly sounded like an appealing place. As he contemplated advancing from Golden Core to the nascent soul stage, it seemed inevitable that he would need to brave the battlefield. Moreover, his path as a body cultivator had reached its limit. Given that the battlefield held many lost ancient techniques and legacies, he might find one or two suitable body cultivation methods there. Chu Xuan pondered another aspect. Mystic Azure Star is vast. With 1,000 tokens scattered around, isn't it like finding a needle in a haystack? Wan Wuing chuckled mischievously. Such rules have been passed down for countless millennia, and our predecessors have already summarized methods to obtain these tokens. The simplest method is to buy a token from a disciple of the Feather Transformation Heaven Palace. Chu Xuan, puzzled, asked, "Buy?" Wan Wuing nodded. The upper sect grants 1,000 tokens to be distributed randomly by the Feather Transformation Heaven Palace. The higher-ups in the palace might act fairly, but the actual distribution is handled by the lower ranks. And are those disciples as fair? No. They will not act fairly. They need resources for cultivation. Such token distribution is exactly the kind of power they would leverage for personal gain. Chu Xuan raised an eyebrow. Indeed, that made sense. Deity transformation cultivators and nascent soul cultivators would hardly bother with such mundane matters. They would be focused on advancing to higher realms. Such duties would fall to lesser individuals. Any small figure with a bit of authority would inevitably think of profiting from it. This hinted at another method of obtaining a token. Sensing the change in Chu Xuan's expression, Wan Wuing grinned wickedly. Correct, robbing Feather Transformation Heaven Palace disciples is also a way to get a token. Such an act might have been difficult in the past, but now there is an excellent opportunity. Chu Xuan's eyes flashed. I understand. Senior brother wants to take advantage of the chaos in the Feather Transformation Heaven Palace to fish in troubled waters. Wan Wuing laughed heartily. Exactly. You must have heard about the situation with Shan Chenjue. Chu Xuan nodded. Wan Wuing continued gravely. I believe Shan Chenjue is also eyeing the extraterritorial battlefield. Once it opens, he will surely act, stirring up the great situation on Mystic Azure Star. We can take advantage of the chaos to snatch what we want. After speaking, he sighed deeply. Shan Chenjue caused me to lose my physical body, reducing me to this state. I can't avenge this grudge, alas. Chu Xuan sighed softly. Apart from expressing sympathy, there wasn't much else he could say. Wan Wuing added, with some time left before the extraterritorial battlefield opens, I need to find a place to retreat and cultivate to boost my strength. What about you? Chu Xuan nodded. I plan to do the same. However, I need your help with something. He casually mentioned his plan. Wan Wuing listened with surprise but nodded. All right, I'll help you. A month later, Chu Xuan arrived at the listening ray number, his brow deeply furrowed. Yuan Zichu followed closely behind, equally indignant. It's truly detestable. This person has been masquerading as fellow Taoist, committing rampant murders. The worst part is the number of treasures he's stolen. That's utterly reprehensible. Chu Xuan nodded solemnly, responding coolly, fellow Taoist Yuan, you oversee the treasure ship market. All news from Myriad Islands Lake converges here. Please keep an eye out for this imposter for me. Should he surface again, I will personally intervene to erase him. Yuan Zichu nodded vigorously. Rest assured, fellow Taoist. After Chu Xuan departed, Zhu Yuqiu appeared. She spoke with palpable relief. Fellow Taoist he being impersonated seemed extremely angry. It's my first time seeing him like this. Yuan Zichu shook his head. He's not angry about the impersonation. Zhu Yuqiu looked puzzled. Ah, then what is it? Yuan Zichu spoke quietly. He's angry because the treasures that should have been his were stolen by that counterfeit. Zhu Yuqiu was taken aback. Yuan Zichu reached out to hold Zhu Yuqiu's slender fingers. The imposter is very powerful, stronger than any of us, and he stops at nothing. Only He Liang can deal with him. Yuqiu, don't go out during this time. I'll notify the others to keep an eye out for the imposter. Zhu Yuqiu blushed slightly. Thank you, Zichu. Yuan Zichu smiled. Shall we delve deeper into the study of arrays? Should we go to your cave or mine? Zhu Yuqiu's cheeks flushed deeper. Let's go to yours. I fear my spouse might find out. All right, Yuan Zichu said, taking Zhu Yuqiu with him. Half a month later, Yuan Zichu received word that the imposter had appeared again and immediately notified Chu Xuan. Everyone stay out of this. I want to capture that imposter alive. Doesn't he know that I always cultivate virtue? Daring to impersonate me and commit murders, ruining my reputation. Chu Xuan roared, mounting the Imperial Sky Mirror and vanishing in the blink of an eye, disappearing from Yuan Zichu and Zhu Yuqiu's sight. Zhu Yuqiu scoffed slightly. With his strength, he will surely defeat the imposter decisively. He just doesn't want us to share in the spoils. Yuan Zichu expressed concern. That's not necessarily true. The imposter is very powerful. Even fellow Taoist Zhao Benny nearly died at his hands. Fellow Taoist Chapter 164. Those who cannot withstand testing are unfit as partners. Atop the ruins of a sect, Chu Xuan and the imposter met, and a fierce battle ensued immediately upon their encounter. They fought from sunrise to sunset, from the eastern islands to the western ones. Ultimately, Chu Xuan fell victim to a trap set by the imposter, stepping into a prearranged array that dealt him a severe blow. After tumbling into the lake, he completely disappeared. Yuan Zichu, Zhu Yuqiu, Zhao Benny, and other cultivators mobilized a large number of Foundation establishment and Qi refining cultivators to search extensively. Despite their efforts, they were unable to find Chu Xuan's body. In the treasure ship market, a gathering of golden core cultivators displayed a range of expressions. Some were reflective, others regretful, some smug, and a few disdainful. Yuan Zichu was among those who felt regret. Even though He Liang had used some demonic techniques and had shattered his defensive measures upon the first meeting, Yuan had always felt that he was a person worth befriending. It was unfortunate that he had now likely perished at the hands of an imposter. Those who were smug or disdainful were the ones who had long envied Chu Xuan. They felt that he had killed too many cultivators from Myriad Islands Lake and stolen treasures that should have belonged to them. They harbored grievances against Chu Xuan and were secretly pleased at the prospect of his probable death. Yuan Zichu spoke solemnly. I propose to report the disappearance of fellow Taoist He and request that a new Golden Core fellow Taoist be sent to Myriad Islands Lake. What are your thoughts? No objections. Everyone nodded in agreement. Very well, I shall report as such, Yuan Zichu affirmed. In the midst of the 100 Refinement Sect's Golden Core cultivators discussing important matters, Chu Xuan and W.N. Wuing were already toasting under the moonlight. Junior brother, that was quite a fierce performance. I almost thought you were serious, W.N. Wuing commented while sipping wine and popping pills. Chu Xuan chuckled. How else to make them believe? The imposter Ouyang Zhang was already dead. The current imposter was naturally W.N. Wuing. The daytime battle was not only a show for Yuan Zichu and others to gauge, but also for Wan Wuing to see. Chu Xuan was testing whether Wan Wuing was genuinely cooperating with him. After all, both were cultivators of the demonic path, and a true alliance or cooperation is never truly part of a demonic cultivator's dictionary. Partners? As long as there was enough benefit, partners could always be betrayed. Chu Xuan's cooperation with Wan Wuing was based solely on the latter's strength and their years of mentorship. He was not foolish enough to consider Wan Wuing a senior brother to depend on for life and death. Individuals like Liu Zhenshan were indeed very rare. "Let's drink this cup and then part ways for now," Wan Wuing smiled, raising his glass and pausing momentarily. "Junior brother, why the poison, though?" There really was no need for that between senior and junior brothers. Chu Xuan also raised his glass and replied with a smile. Then senior brother also had no need to put a charm in the wine. "It was merely an exchange of courtesies," he added. The two looked at each other and burst out laughing. Testing each other was a constant reality. Those who couldn't withstand testing did not deserve to be partners. Taking advantage of the night, Chu Xuan quickly escaped. He removed his disguise, reverting to his original appearance, and soon found a secluded island. After setting up a cave dwelling and arranging the arrays, he quickly returned to Blue Star. During Chu Xuan's time in Myriad Islands Lake, the situation on Blue Star had been prospering. His army of undead had swept across the continents. The destruction of the Suanzi country's government had also spread across all the lands. Amid the global dominance of Blue Star under Chu Xuan's command, the intricate operations of his zombie and GU forces continued to escalate. The parasitic seeds, controlling giant apes, conquered the Harsha dynasty, eliminating the royal family and securing the third fragment of the psionic cube. Meanwhile, the zombie empress's newly developed assault-type corpse ships penetrated the territories of the Freedom Alliance and the Arctic Army. Within a subterranean base controlled by the Freedom Alliance, they discovered the fourth fragment of the psionic cube. The zombie armies also unearthed that Science City was intricately connected to the Freedom Alliance. Before the psionic revival, the Freedom Alliance had secretly sent the City Lord to the Han country to establish Science City. As for the Holy Light Theocracy, they didn't wait for the zombie army to reach their doors. Instead, they proactively submitted to Chu Xuan's forces, offering the fifth fragment of the psionic cube. Chu Xuan lounged on a plush velvet recliner, intrigued by the nearly complete psionic cube. Even though Blue Star was almost unified, the final piece of the cube was still missing. Chu Xuan had dispersed his zombie armies globally to watch for any signs of the last fragment. The idle psionic cube rapidly facilitated the growth of flesh and blood, although, unfortunately, Chu Xuan no longer had a use for body cultivation techniques. On the other hand, the blood beehives produced vast quantities of blood honey, bulking up the bees to nearly the size of half a fist. Under the massive infusion of blood honey, the queen bee's realm soared, advancing into the rank of a third-stage GU. Besides the worker bees, soldier bees, and venom bees, a new type of bee was unlocked, the fire bee. Similar to the venom bee, which has a venom sac for storing toxins, the fire bee possesses a unique flame sac that stores fire, which can be expelled when necessary. For Chu Xuan, the venom bees and fire bees were much more useful than the soldier bees. The former could store various poisons he concocted, and the latter could even hold the corpse refining blood fire. In battle, dispersing venom and fire bees could potentially have a surprising effect. It's a pity that the corpse refining blood fire has not yet advanced to spawn the blood Evilian fire, Chu Xuan mused. Perhaps it's not burning enough. He signaled the zombie matriarch and zombie empress to ramp up production. The wild zombies outside had grown wiser, and ultrasonic calls no longer lured the higher intelligent zombies. Fortunately, Chu Xuan still had the zombie matriarch and zombie empress, who were akin to living zombie production factories. Increasing production merely required more large blood pearls, allowing for a self-sustaining cycle of production and combustion. On the secluded isle of Myriad Islands Lake, a diminutive nascent soul cultivator fled in terror. He cried out, his voice both fierce and desperate, "Shang Qianjue! Dare to slay me, and the feather transformation heaven palace will soon be upon you. Your end is nigh. If you spare my life, we can both step back and perhaps." But Shang Qianjue, relentless in pursuit, paid no heed to his play. A mass of dark qi transformed into a gargantuan maw that eclipsed the sky, devouring the fleeing nascent soul in one fell swoop. Chewing thoughtfully a few times, Shang Chenjue swallowed contentedly. Another nascent soul consumed, and now I've reached the mid-nascent soul stage. Even the Feather Transformation Heaven Palace, obtuse as they are, must realize by now that the Burning Heaven Sect is no more. They will make their moves. The extraterritorial battlefield is about to open. Mystic Azure Star shall soon be thrown into turmoil. Shang Chenjue laughed heartily, his gaze alight with relentless determination and madness. In the heart of the central continent floated a colossal island. This island, known as Feather Transformation Island, was the very gate of the Feather Transformation Heaven Palace. It was a mighty testament to the deity Transformation Cultivator's power, a whole mountain range uprooted and encircled with formidable arrays. For every disciple of the Feather Transformation Heaven Palace, it was an honor to ascend to Feather Transformation Island, for it was the true center of power within the palace. At this moment, within the Grand Council Hall of Feather Transformation Island, a voice thundered in anger. 3 years. A full 3 years. And only now you learn of Shang Chenjue's emergence in the southern wilderness.